welcome to the fourth and final review of the evening. Up this time is a game called Crystal Picnic. Um, so, this game on its Steam page is billing itself as a tribute to the classic era of action RPGs, which is a bit curious. I mean, I you can sort of see it on, let's say, the overworld graphics. It's like when you're in an area, it looks like, oh, hey, say Secret of Mana or what have you. But in terms of its actual gameplay, it's not really an RPG. Like, honestly, I'd say this game has more RPG elements than an actual RPG. There's no experience points, there's no leveling, which is that's kind of one of those central mechanics. And when you don't have it, the argument for an RPG becomes much more murky. It's the eternal Zelda debate for most of them. Is Zelda an RPG or is it an action adventure game? Personally, I think it's an action adventure game because you have progression, but you don't have experience points or levels outside of Zelda 2. But that's a topic for another time. This game, once again, instead of levels, you equip crystals. It's in the name there, which gives you different upgrades. Honestly, it's more akin to, say, Call of Duty's upgrade system than Final Fantasies. It's like, if only a bit more streamlined, because you're not even putting points into things. You're just, you put an object towards, do you want, a bit more health, or you want a new attack, that kind of thing. That's an RPG element. And honestly, the elements didn't work out all that well. Or rather, I couldn't figure out how to, I asked for a slashing attack, I couldn't execute it. And that kind of encapsulates the issues with this game in a nutshell. But before I touch upon that a little, the actual combat is definitely the thing that really sets it apart from anything you played in the 16-bit era, at least in terms of an RPG, because honestly, it plays like a mascot fighter.
And not a good one.
Yeah, like I was reminded more of Smash Brothers than Secret of Evermore when it got to actual combat. And yeah, not gonna lie, the combat is pretty awful. The jumping is kludgy as fuck. The combat is brain dead and boring. Like, and your AI partners, not totally useless. I'll credit that, but if the power imbalance is just off the side of north, they'll get their asses kicked really fast. And to compound things, this game is single player only, so you can't I'm not sure if that was too difficult to implement or what have you, because you have up to 3 characters, but you can only control one at a time. You can switch them out. Healing is needlessly maybe not needlessly complicated, but it's a bit awkward because it's on ring menus and you have to go through a few of them. It's like, I guess that it has that in common with Secret of Mana. Not for nothing, but I always thought the ring menu system was a bit awkward and cumbersome, especially when it comes to controlling 3 at once, or as 3 as once as you could get with that game. And it's a shame because what this game does right is its aesthetics. Far from being another pixel art retread, not really knocking the style, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tired of it. It's like not just seeing, not even seeing games aping a particular aesthetic, like you're trying to be an NES game or a Commodore 64 game. It's just, like with the Rata Laika games we review on this program, they're pixel art retro graphics for the sake of being that. Okay, it's an art style in and of itself, but it's common enough where it's kind of tired. Whereas this game has a much more unique hand drawn affair. Um, and it's got detailed character portraits as well, and it's like a lot of effort went into the art. And I can definitely say there was a lot of effort done in all of the gameplay mechanics and whatnot. Maybe not so much the RPG elements, because once again those are very light, which is honestly kind of an issue with a lot of RPG and RPG-ish games we play on the indie circuit. um, it's like each character can only equip one type of weapon, um, and clothing upgrades are pretty limited. Like, it has items, it does have a bit of the standard, but it's pretty shallow. Um, and like I said, there's not even when you take out experience points, there's not really an incentive to fight. But the problem is sometimes you have to fight. So what the dick move this game does is, okay, it's got the enemies on the field so you can see them, but you can't always escape them because randomly your characters will fucking slip on a banana peel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and then you'll be attacked by all of the wolves in the area or whatever. It just fucking happens. You know,
Hmm.
it's like, no, tripping in Smash Brothers wasn't a good idea, and this is along those lines. Like,
Especially because the combat sucks.
yes, and once again, we're falling into latter day Paper Mario problems as well. Like, not so much the combat sucked there, but it's like it's boring and pointless without an incentive to actually do the combat. You know, and I wish that wasn't the case because I really wanted to like this game. It's got a lot of charm and it's got a lot of personality. Um, at least in its art. Characters, like, they're okay.
I
Eggbert and Frogbert, and I'm trying to remember what the bunny girl was called. It's not a, she's not Bert, but I think it was a play on a Sagi, or like, I don't remember. Unfortunately, like, and she's the best character to use because she's the one who has a long range attack. You um, but and the story is, if nothing else, inventive because the kingdom is being invaded by a bunch of ants who've gone berserk because they're eating crystals because they think they're candy. Like,
Hmm.
and um, yeah, story wise, it's okay. Like, all around, you know, and yeah, I'm just really, really disappointed with this game because it looks good, but that's the thing. That is the inherent problem with video games. You don't really know how good a game is going to be a lot of the time unless you play it. I mean, some of the problems do seem like over ambition. Some of the problems really seem amateurish. Like, movement itself felt clunky. Like,
mm-hmm.
there were times where I was having problems moving like downwards. Like, that was some real inexperience levels of incompetence.
And like
You know,
there's like in the town area here, it's hard to know where you can progress to because there are open areas, but there's invisible walls.
hmm and opposed to just bad design, like well, just the combat and the tripping, like that one just annoys me because it 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 just shouldn't be there. Like if I avoid the enemies, fine. If they caught me, fine. Don't don't give me this illusion of choice. And it's not it's not even something that happens with any regularity. It's random. Um, the music, well, once again, I'm sorry to say, the music was okay, but I'm having trouble remembering it, which is not the thing you want to say about something that's trying to do tribute to the classic RPGs of yore. You know, Secret of Mana and Zelda and all those. They are pretty renowned for having excellent soundtracks. And I understand, those were what we consider AAA of that era, and this was put out by a small indie team. You know, probably like 5 people, and you know what have you. It's not a one-to-one comparison, but I'm just still shocked that the soundtrack is this nondescript. Let's see. Pricing. So the game clocks in at $2.99, with a $4.99 complete edition. The DLC is, well, you got your standard soundtrack, which is $1, and you've got the Crystal Picnic Adventures, which is um, which is an expanded backstory novelization of the game. So if you want to learn more about the worlds and the characters and all that, you can buy this for $2. It's like obvious, and there's also new new school complete collection. New School being the game company that put this out, which includes all the Crystal Picnic stuff along with all of the other games that they've released. And that clocks in at a relatively light $11.65. We could not make a recommendation or a judgment on the complete collection because it includes games that we have not covered. So that's you would have to buy on your own. But on the surface, it seems like a good value. But I don't. Once again, it's like I don't know how good or bad the other games are in this pack. Crystal Picnic on its own, I can give no recommendation at any price. Um,
Right.
it's just a subpar game, and you know, and that disappoints me because I wanted this game to be good. This game had a bit more flair and ambition than some other indie titles that we've covered this week. Like nothing against Mircron Wars XR, but this game shows a lot more artistic effort with its hand drawn um, graphics and whatnot, as opposed to you got your stuff from community stores. Not that that's a problem. It's just you know there's definitely a lot more going on here, at least on the surface. It's just the execution is not good, and as much as it pains me, I would, this is a bad game. Um, Not one of the worst of the year, at least not in my estimation, but still not something I can say you should play. Anyway,
Indeed.
any final words from you, Petty?
Not really. You basically covered on most of my issues.
All right. Such is life.
Indeed.
Anyway, so that'll about do it for this installment of the Fragments Silicon Reviews. If you liked what you heard, be sure to click the subscribe button, click the bell, give us a cheer, buy some bits. Calls to action are going to be part of the spiel now because we are affiliated, and there's an actual incentive to do it now. Clearly we're still easing into all of this, but it'll get more polished as time goes on. Anyway, so coming up on the week ahead. So Wednesday show, right? Okay, so the long and short of things is the Wednesday show is in jeopardy because our guest is currently in self-isolation, and they are unsure they'll be able to do the interview with their family around. We are supposed to have Nathan of Stranga Games. We've covered a few of their games here on the reviews not too long ago. Red Bow and My Big Sister and whatnot. Almost got canceled last week. We said gonna hear about this tomorrow. So there's a good chance this could be the situation could not have changed, or the interview will be delayed or canceled. And if that's the case, well, we'll do another installment of 80 days. Mainly because a cancellation on 2 days notice, maybe I can find someone, but there's not a big guarantee of 2 days notice. So it's just this is the coronavirus era. It's kind of wreaking havoc with a lot of society right now, and we're not an exception. Last week's guest had a delay because of coronavirus issues, and we're seeing it again. I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be a recurring theme for as long as this outbreak goes on. So, just a caveat there going forward. If we don't have a guest that week, it's probably coronavirus related. It certainly is not going to be related to any sort of convention or anything. Anyway, so on Friday, April 17th, we don't have a show per se going on that day, but we do have a project happening. I think we mentioned it on the Wednesday show, but in case we didn't, we are planning on doing a crossover project with the new MSP show, more or less. That is the crew here, Mac and Keith. We're going to see how many of us we can get together and finally do this Let's Play Star Trek project that Mac has been wanting to do forever and a day. We've talked about this thing like years and years ago. Like whenever the last time Mac was on the show, maybe. Like I think Ogre was part of the crew. Like it's been a while, but I definitely remember we've talked about it more than once. Anyway, basic thing going on here is Mac recorded a playthrough of Star Trek: The 25th Anniversary game way back in 1990, and he recorded on a VHS tape, and he finally pulled the footage like a week and a half ago. He Dropboxed it to us. I don't think anyone here has actually looked at it because the big sticking point here is we're not sure it's going to be happening this Friday, because we have proposed a recording time of Friday at 10 p.m. Also going to note, this is, in a breaking from our usual idiom. This is going to be pre-recorded. And this isn't going to be taking place on the Fragments channel. This will be on Mac's channel whenever we do it and record it and all that stuff. He's, it's about an hour ish long. It's going to be 4 parts, about 15 minutes. I don't know how far apart each part is going to be. But once again, right now we're trying to straighten the schedules out so we can all collaborate on the project. We'll probably have an update on this on Wednesday. So until then, I shall wish you good gaming.